Hey there, you just clicked on First Down Punts. Nice move. This is a podcast about football and how it relates to fantasy football. Hope you like what you hear. We're going to get this thing started. Let's get crazy.
And welcome in to another episode of First Down Punts. I'm your host, Coach Chris, and today we're going to be doing our Thursday night recap as well as our preview for the rest of the Week 3 games all day Sunday and the Monday nighter. Before we get into that, I did want to go over a couple players I forgot to mention in the waiver episode we just put out the other day. There's some guys on IR right now or that were suspended that you might be looking at. Such as Jordan Addison. I doubt anybody's dropped him if they drafted him. But if he didn't get drafted, he's a guy you should be looking on your waiver for. Isaiah Likely, he's ramping up to be ready. He could possibly play Monday night, but I'm guessing more likely they hold him out another week. But he has been limited practice this week, so he's definitely getting ramped up. Tajay Spears, running back for the Titans. Other than Tony Pollard, their backups are dealing with injuries themselves right now. They're a little banged up. Not sure if any of them, Mullings or I forget the other kid's name, but I don't believe either of them. I think they're both questionable coming into this game. So when Tajay Spears, if he's coming back right off IR after week 4, he's definitely a guy you want to start thinking about getting in on before it's too late, before somebody else picks him up. And possibly, I believe he's going to be more involved and help that offense as a pass catcher out of the backfield a little more than Pollard would, and give some relief to Pollard because right now Pollard's getting 20 carries a game, and I don't know if that's going to be sustainable for him. And the last guy is Jalen Coker, the Carolina Panthers wide receiver. He was put on IR. Now, he might not be ready. I'll look into it a little bit. I'll probably at least wait till next week. I'm definitely not jumping on him today or nothing. But these are just guys that are on IR right now or have been suspended. Obviously, Rashee Rice, he's out for a few more games. If he's gotten dropped, maybe pick him up. Now you only got to wait a few weeks for him to get back. And that's really what it's about. That you want to get in a little bit early, but you don't want to have to hold them the whole time. And some people are dealing with injuries. They've had to drop these guys. Some guys just didn't get drafted. Spears probably didn't get drafted in most leagues. In a dynasty league, he might have got dropped, but with IR spots, I doubt it. But in those redraft leagues, it's definitely something to look into if you're in need of a running back right now because of some disappointing situations with certain rookies or veterans or whatever else. Maybe you look for someone who could start here as the bye weeks begin. And Spears coming off IR could be a guy that maybe you can throw into a flex for yourself. So just wanted to get into that because I forgot to mention him the other day on our waiver show. Other than that, I'm going to do a little screen sharing here. As far as the Dolphins and Bills game goes from Thursday Night Football, the Bills won 31-21. This game was actually more interesting than that 10-point spread looks. The Dolphins showed some sign of life. Not much, but at least they're living. So, but the Bills are just a better team. And although Josh Allen got sacked a couple times and they weren't as efficient as they have been in the past, they were still plenty successful. Their defense was giving up some simply because they're missing Matt Milano and Ed Oliver. And they're going to hope that those guys coming off the suspension, the two defensive linemen, as well as getting Oliver back is definitely going to help shore up that run defense. So I expected the Jets to have more success in week 2, even with Oliver there, just because they gave up some rush yards in week 1. So it's something to pay attention to with the defense. But as those guys start to come back, it's only going to help that defense out, and the Bills are going to be that much better for it. As far as stats go, James Cook, I'll keep saying it, what touchdown regression. He was the only guy, him and Terry McLaurin. Now, McLaurin, they're right on so far, but it's a long season. He could have plenty of touchdowns over the second half of the season and stuff. Although Mariota's starting this week, we'll get into that. But James Cook, 108 yards and a touchdown, 3 catches for 10 yards. Josh Allen threw for 213, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Like I said, he took 2 sacks. And then only ran it 4 times for 25 yards. It wasn't really necessary the way James Cook was running, the way the pass game, the receivers were getting a bunch of yards after catch. Kincaid, he actually had a good game. He was a flex start for me, 5 for 66 and a touchdown. And Khalil Shakir, another guy said you should flex start, 4 for 45 and a touchdown. On Miami side, Tua, only 146 yards passing, but did have 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, a terrible interception at that. Devon Achane, his normal self, 12 carries for 62 yards, 7 catches. but for only 29 yards. So you'd like to see that. No touchdowns, receiving or rushing. But the backup, Ollie Gordon, it's starting to happen. 9 for 38 and a touchdown. He got the goal line carries. He got the short yardage carries. He was successful in those situations. I'm a big believer in Ollie Gordon. I believe he's going to take on that Raheem Mostert role. And just last week, I was like, oh, some of you want to drop him and stuff. I ended up having to drop him. I picked him right back up, man. I couldn't help it. As soon as he got the touchdown, I was like, oh, my goodness, I'm going to miss out. So I'm real excited about what he can do, but it comes down to how successful can this Miami offense be. If they can get around the goal line, Ollie Gordon's going to be a valuable player. So it's more about play them against defenses where you think they have an advantage, which right now, the way the Dolphins have played, there's not much advantages other than the speed of receiver. Jalen Waddle had a good game. Tyreek had a good game. Tyreek had 5 for 49 and 1. And Waddle had 5 for 39 and 1. So they both scored a touchdown. You'd love to see that as far as if you're starting in fantasy. Dolphins defense is still terrible. Still can't stop the passing game offenses, and will continue to be an issue. The Chris Greer, the GM, has came out and said they're not trying to fire Mike McDaniel. The owner said he doesn't want to fire him. Makes me start to think that they offered him the same deal they gave Brian Flores. Difference was Flores turned it down because he wants to win. It seems like Mike McDaniel's okay with losing with the nonsense I was seeing. The bad play calls is how the Dolphins were acting last night. Throwing a screen to a trip set on a first down is almost asking for negative yardage because the receivers aren't blocking out there for the guy that's catching the pass. The lineman can't get out there fast enough, and defense knows it's coming. You're telegraphing your plays. Even as much as I like Ollie Gordon, Dolphins were telegraphing their plays when he came in. Now, in the short yardage, that doesn't matter so much, but in the other situations, they were only bringing him in to run the ball with him. They didn't have him go on pass routes like they do with Achane. He does everything. And not that Ollie Gordon's some special receiving back, but he can catch the ball a little bit. And more importantly, if you bring him out and you run the ball with him, the defense knows that's coming if that's all you ever do. He has to be on the field some more. So they can't just understand what he's going to do. He still went 9 for 38. That's 4 yards, a little over 4 yards of carry. He did his job. He got the first downs. He got the touchdown. But to be a good offense, you can't telegraph what's happening. I don't know why we're not doing tip drill passes to Tyreek Hill again, where he runs in front of the quarterback and tips it right to him. Do him with Jalen Waddle. That's what that speed is for. Devon Achane. Where did that go? Ever since the league changed the rule about being able to be in motion and getting set, the Dolphins have been terrible. Period. It changed their entire offense. They were one of the few offenses you were worried about was because of the way they moved Tyreek in motion a lot. The Rams adjusted just fine for the most part, but the Dolphins have not adjusted to the rule change. And it's interrupting everything that they were so successful at because they can't make one small adjustment. And it's mind-blowing to me, honestly, that they still haven't really figured it out. And it doesn't help that Tua's playing like ass. At the end of the day, you put a different quarterback in there, maybe Miami looks fine. They still got offensive line issues, but we know they have talent to skill positions. We know they don't have a starting defensive back or safety from last year on the field right now. Minka Fitzpatrick's out there, not looking too special when there's not many people around him helping out. It's easy to avoid him. It's easy to get him out of position when he feels like he has to do everything out there. So I don't know what the Dolphins are going to do going forward, but I'm not expecting a lot of wins. I think I have them going 6-11 or 7-10 in my preseason predictions. They'll be lucky to get 7 wins the way they're playing right now. So on to the rest of the Week 3 games. Starting on Sunday with our first game, we have the Falcons versus the Panthers. The Falcons are 1-1. The Panthers are 0-2. My starts and sits for this game: starts, Michael Penix. The Panthers are not a good defense. And I believe Michael Penix is going to be required to throw here a little bit. But Michael Penix is a start. Bijan Robinson, an obvious start. Drake London, yes, I'm starting him. Atlanta defense. I'm starting out Atlanta defense this week in my home league. I recommend there's someone you can pick up off the waiver right now. if they haven't got swooped up already and have played well the first 2 weeks. So the pass rush with the rookies coming along, the back end with Xavier Watts and it's not Billy Bowman. Who's the other kid? I can't remember the other kid's name, the safety's name, but they're playing their ass off. He actually got a pick this past week, so they're playing their ass off, and I like Atlanta where the Atlanta's defense is doing right now. The rest of the starts, not Parker Rome. Is that his fucking name? What the fuck is that kid's name? It is Parker Rome. All right. The rest of the starts, Parker Romo, the kicker. I would definitely for Atlanta's new kicker. They just cut Younghoe Koo, made that official. And Parker Romo is now the starter going forward. Made 5 field goals last week, so he's got to keep in mind. Tetterow, McMillan, and Hubbard on the Panthers side are the only ones I'm willing to start. Flex starts, Kyle Pitts, although he did pop up with a toe, I believe it was a toe injury, so he had a limited practice, something to pay attention to if he ends up sitting, and obviously he's not a starter, even in the flex spot. Darnell Mooney, I think he's going to keep coming along. I think you could start him in a flex in a deep league. And Tyler Algier, another guy with the injuries that are going around. Did I spell his name wrong? I might have. I don't care about it. Tyler Algier got 16 opportunities last week. If this game gets out of hand, Tyler Algier will get another 16 opportunities. So he's a nice little start in the flex spot and someone to consider if you're having running back troubles. My sits for this game, Bryce Young, Xavier Legette. Why the fuck do I have Xavier Legette on? This is how bad I want to sit him. Jesus. My sits for this game, Bryce Young, Xavier Legette, the kicker Fitzgerald in Carolina there, and Ray McLeod. I'm not interested in him if Mooney's back. He's just the guy that is going to be better for the team than he will be for fantasy. Sneaky started the game, which I don't know how sneaky it is after 2 touchdowns, but Hunter Renfrow. I think he could definitely be involved as that pass rush is coming. Young's going to have to get rid of the ball. It's going to be quicker. Damn. I should put that. I am just fucking this up. Ray McLeod. Sitting Ray McLeod. I think he's better for the team than he is for fantasy if Mooney's back. So, and he didn't do much when Mooney was out. The Casey Washington kid had a nice little game week 1, but he ended up missing week 2. Ray got a couple catches, but Mooney was back last week. So it was just kind of spread around, and they didn't have to throw a lot, although they probably should have. And then Jatavian Sanders, I know he had a nice week last week, but I am not ready to trust him yet. Obviously, if you're having issues at tight end, he's one of those flyers that you throw in there and see what happens. And then my sneaky start for this game is Hunter Renfrow. Although how sneaky it is after 2 touchdowns, I'm not sure. But definitely somebody that I see being involved with Bryce Young trying to get rid of the ball quick. And the big shots are going to be downfield to McMillan. But Hunter Renfrow could definitely walk away with 6 catches for 40 yards and get you some points. And if he catches a touchdown on some garbage time play, even better. On to our next game, the Bengals versus the Vikings. The Bengals are 2-0, surprisingly, versus Minnesota, who is 1-1. Both teams are starting a backup quarterback, Carson Wentz for the Vikings and Jake Browning for the Bengals, with Burrow being out for 3 months with a turf toe injury that required surgery, and J.J. McCarthy having an ankle. We'll find out if it was just a soft benching, we'll give him a breather, and he comes back, or if there really is an injury. Well, who knows if we'll ever find that out, honestly. But he wasn't playing well last week, and they let him finish the game. Whether or not it cost them a win is debatable, but definitely something to pay attention to going forward. As I said, I wasn't big on McCarthy coming in to the draft last year. Wasn't willing to trust him this year as a quarterback on my team. But he's got some talent. I just don't know if he's ready to be a full-time starter. And we'll find that out going forward, man. I mean, that's all there is to it. Right now, Carson Wentz is going to start. I know that's not the Vikings' plans, but O'Connell's a hell of a coach. And if he can get Wentz to play really well, then they don't have to rush McCarthy back. So we'll find out. My flex for starts for this game, Jamar Chase Brown, still starting him. You seen last week, Jamar Chase had 14 catches for 160-some yards. Chase Brown, I'm tempering expectations, obviously, with the backup quarterback in, but I still believe Chase Brown is going to be involved enough to be fantasy startable. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Mason is basically just the top receiver and the top running back for each team in my starts. Flex players, T. Higgins, not very successful last week, but I think we're week of practice with Jake Browning. Higgins is going to be a little more involved. He's always going to be that boomer bust kind of guy. He could end up with 3 catches. He could end up with 9 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. With Browning willingness to throw it, he's a flex player and makes T. Higgins still flex viable. Evan McPherson, the kicker. If Minnesota's defense tightens up around the end zone inside the 20, McPherson's going to have plenty of opportunities for field goals. Cincy defense is kind of a flex start to me if you're desperate, just because as much as I like Carson Wentz coming out of college, he's not the player he was coming out of college. He hadn't been the same since he had the injury, and Nick Foles went on to win the Super Bowl with the Eagles that year. So it's definitely, he's a flex player. You can start him, but I'm not looking for any dominance, even against the Bengals defense. That's the only reason I'm willing to start him, because they're playing the Bengals defense. Although it's questionable with his offensive line, will he be able to have much success? So he's on the lower end of flex starts in a 2 QB league. TJ Hockenson, this is his last week of starting. There's a couple players like that where it's like, all right, dude, I'm giving you one more chance. Wentz has used tight ends in his career, so I'm not worried about that. Hockenson had a real bad route on tape that they showed. That's all over social media. But Hawkinson's still a guy that I know has talent. We just got to see it start producing on the field. And then the last flex start, Minnesota's defense. I think they could get after Browning. He threw 3 interceptions last week in relief when he came in from Burrow. So it's definitely something with Flores dialing up some blitz packages and stuff that could confuse them, that Minnesota's defense is viable as far as getting a couple turnovers and a couple sacks. And then for the sits, I'm not starting any Bengals tight ends. I don't believe you're getting consistency enough from any of them to be willing to start any of them. And then Jalen Naylor, I just don't know how successful the Minnesota offense is going to be. So Naylor's definitely a sit for me. Sneaky start, Will Wright. I believe if Minnesota does have some success, they're going to get in the Reichard's range, which is pretty nice. I think it was as long as like 57 or something like that. But he's a hell of a kicker. I had him last year. He was a rookie last year. He's a hell of a kicker. And he's a guy that you can trust kicking field goals. Like, he's one of the kickers in the league that I don't have concerns about going out there and just shanking 3 field goals in a game or anything, like we've seen this year already. So on to our next game. Steelers versus the Patriots. Both teams are 1-1. Steelers coming off a loss, Patriots coming off a win. Starts of the week, DK Metcalf, Jalen Warren, Chris Boswell, and then on the Patriots side, Ramondre Stevenson. He dominated their touches last week. That's got to be taken into account. Now, I was hearing something that, the Steelers do better against bigger backs, which would be a knock on Stevenson, and actually help TreVeyon Henderson, but with our flex starts, you see TreVeyon Henderson's there at the end, and just where I was typing them. Aaron Rodgers, Jonnu Smith, Drake May, Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte, and TreVeyon Henderson are all players I'm willing to flex in there as a number 2 QB or as a third, fourth receiver, tight end, whatever you want to say. Sits for this, Pittsburgh defense. I think New England could have some success against this defense. They're missing 4 starters, so not really willing to trust Pittsburgh's defense right now the way that they're playing. Calvin Austin III, don't think he's going to have very many big games. He had a nice week 1, but didn't really do anything last week. Kenneth Gainwell, he's almost hardly involved last week. I didn't believe that was happening. Caleb Johnson, after the mishap on kick returns, I don't know what to do with this kid. If you cut him, I get it. Andrew Borregales, the kicker for the Patriots, no thanks. He missed another one last week. Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper sitting on both. Although Hooper had a nice game last week, that's the problem. Hunter Henry is on the field more, but Hooper got some catches last week. Next week it'll be Henry. The next week it'll be Hooper. Next week it'll be none of them. You just can't figure out which one's going to do it from week to week, and I just don't want to be involved in either of them. And the sneaky start for this game, Pat Freiermuth. He was really involved last week, kind of took on the number 1 receiving tight end role. Jonnu still had 4 or 5 catches, but it's definitely something to pay attention to. because maybe Friday he had a target in the end zone. He got knocked away by his own teammate, two players in the same spot. We talked about in a recap video on Wednesday, but he's a guy that if he's getting targets in the end zone and getting more involved in the offense, I'm interested. So sneaky start of the week. Next game, Colts versus Titans. Colts surprisingly 2-0, and the Titans are 0-2. Not as surprising. My starts for this game: Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Tyler Moore. Tyler Moore is questionable coming into this game, something to pay attention to. But if he plays, I'm starting him. Spencer Schrader, the kicker. I told you, this guy's had, I think, 4 and 5 field goals the first 2 weeks. He's booting it through, and the Indy offense is getting him in position quite often. Then on the Titan side, Tony Pollard and Joey Sly. Sly had 4 field goals last week, I believe. He's actually had 2 really good weeks. And if the Titans are getting in the field goal range quite often, they're just not getting into the end zone. So he's definitely a guy to consider if you're in need of a kicker. Flex starts: Calvin Ridley, Alec Maynard. Both receivers, you can put those into the flex, feel comfortable doing it. Third receiver, fourth receiver, whatever you want to put them as. But both guys are involved. Calvin Ridley is going to get going. The better this offense starts going, the more comfortable Cam Ward gets. So I'm not worried about him yet. And A.O. Maynard's coming on stronger every week. So Indy defense, you can flex them. I do think there's a chance that they're not as successful as they were the first couple of weeks, but definitely you get a pick off Cam Ward. And who knows if they give up a lot of points. So, and then Daniel Jones, flex him in if you want to at your number 2. The way he's been playing, you can't ignore it. As much as I wasn't a believer coming into the season, he's trying to make one out of me. That's all I can say. So something to consider if you need a quarterback number 2. You don't want to start one of these backups that's coming in. Then throw Daniel Jones out there, see what happens. Sits for this game: Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, Cam Ward, Chigga Conquo. Tennessee defense. Although the defense has been playing tough the first 2 weeks, and what is it being a division game? Who knows, man? I'm not waiting for the house of cards to fall down here with the Colts. I know they have talent on their roster, but the Titans defense has been playing tough, and with this being a division game, who knows, man? Maybe this is where they get the best of Daniel Jones. But right now, they're a sit for me just because of the way the Colts are playing and the way Jonathan Taylor's been running. Sneaky start for this game at 9 Mitchell. I think for some odd reason, I've got a feeling he's going to get a touchdown this game. So, on to the next game. Texans versus the Jags. Both teams 1-1, division game. So, the AFC South is playing itself this week between the Colts playing the Titans and the Texans playing the Jags. They're just all playing each other this week. My starts for this game: Nico Collins, C.J. Stroud. I know you guys are doubting C.J. Stroud right now. I'm sticking with him. Kaim Fairbairn, the kicker there in Houston, and Houston's defense, I'm definitely starting this week. Travis Etienne, Brian Thomas Jr., and Cam Little, the kicker for the Jags on the Jags side. Flex for this game: Dalton Schultz, Nick Chubb, Trevor Lawrence, Britton Strange. Trevor Lawrence, I almost want to put as a sit, but they've been put with Etienne, the way Etienne's playing. He had 2 passing touchdowns. Both of them were to the running backs last week, so maybe that happens again. But with the fact that I just don't trust Trevor Lawrence right now, man. Like I said, the quick turnover after his defense gets him the ball, he's just playing inconsistent as shit. And although he's getting stats here and there, it's not something I'm trying to trust. But I understand with all the injuries, you need a number 2 QB, throw him in there. And then Britton Strange, I think Britton Strange should actually have a good game this week. And again, tight end options. Ingram's out for Denver, so maybe you need somebody. Throw Britton Strange out there, see what happens. Sits for this game: Jaden Higgins, the rookie. As much as I like him, I can't recommend starting him right now. Christian Kirk, if he's back. There's rumors he's going to be back. I think he is going to be back. I can't remember if that was official or not. I know he's questionable coming into the game. So, Travis Hunter, Diami Brown, and Bashaw Tootin. Bashaw Tootin's a little banged up. He was wearing a non-contact jersey in practice this week. So how much can you trust him if he can't even be touched in practice to last through the game against a tough defense? As much as I'm excited, and I know everybody's amped up about what he did last week, take caution. That's what I'll say. Check before the game how he's doing. Is he definitely playing? No questions asked. Is he going to be on a limited snap count? These are all things. And with the way Etienne's playing, plus playing a tough defense, how many opportunities is he going to get? That's always going to be a question. So, sneaky start, Woody Marks. We saw what he did last week as the number 2. If Chubb this continues to be just so-so. He's not been down. I know the 25-yard touchdown run looked good. There's also a possibility that the other team let him score on that so they could get the ball back faster. But he looked good hitting the hole. Like I said, he's averaging over 4 yards a carry. I don't believe he's going to be getting 25 carries a game there for Houston. So somebody's going to be helping out. First week it was Pearson and Gumbawale. Next week it was Marks and Gumbawale, and Pierce was inactive. I believe Woody Marks has moved up to that number 2. They've come out and said so, that those are going to be the 2 running backs they're mainly using going forward. Marks is a receiving back. I think this is only going to help the offense, and he's a sneaky start if you're looking for a deep league start for a flex spot. On to our next game, Rams versus the Eagles. 2-2-0 teams, both coming off good wins. Rams haven't looked great offensively, although they've had some success. They haven't looked great. And the Eagles haven't either for that much. I mean, these are 2 teams that got good defenses. Not great, but top 10 probably for both of them. The Eagles, we know we lost some players in free agency and everything, but this should be an excellent football game. Success on the fantasy side, who knows? I'm still starting my normal guys. It's Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams. On the Rams side, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, because he's going to get rushing touchdowns even if he doesn't get passing touchdowns. And then Jake Elliott, the kicker for the Eagles. And you can put Cardi up here, honestly. I got him in a flex spot, but Cardi, you probably trust kicks and field goals this week. And my flex spot, Stafford. He's playing a tough defense. Who knows how much success he'll actually have. We've seen what the Eagles have done the first 2 weeks. Even losing all those guys, they're still playing tough. They're still keeping scores lower. And the Rams are doing the same. That's why I'm kind of down on quite a few of these guys. But like I said, Cardi the kicker, you might put him up in the start spot too, just because it's probably going to be more of a field goal and a couple of touchdowns because of the way the defense is played. But the Rams defense, I'm starting them in this flex spot. You need a defense. You should already be starting the Rams defense. I just don't expect the top-notch performance. I expect more of a middling of the pack. You'll still be happy. You don't want to drop them and lose them to your opponents in the league, but just expect a little less than what you normally would. And then A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, the Philly defense, and Dallas Goedert if he plays. Goedert is questionable. I know he was a limited practice this week. I have to go back and look at it. I think he is going to play, but he might be a game-time decision. I don't remember if I seen the official report today or if it was yesterday's I'm thinking about, so bear with me. But A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, we know what the pass games look like against the Rams. It's a tough defense. They might not have as much success running against that front 4 of the Rams and have to pass a little bit more, so I'm still willing to start these guys, but they're all, if Goedert is back, you already, like I said, with all 3 of them there, it's always this. And Goedert actually was the most successful receiver in week 1 when he played. So if he's back, I definitely think you can flex him. My sits, Blake Corum, any Rams tight ends, and Tank Bigsby for the Eagles. He didn't do nothing last week. When I know it's his first game, and I'm sure they want to keep Barkley fresh, but how much is Bigsby going to be involved? I don't think very much unless an injury pops up. So I'm just putting him on here so you don't start him. But Blake Corum, I know he got the touchdown last week, and Kyron wasn't as efficient. He could get involved in this game, but I think this is going to be more of a passing game where the Rams are going to have to go to the pass game to attack those DBs instead of trying to run it up the middle. And with saying that, my sneaky start for this game, Tutu Atwell. I think he could be involved in this game a little more. Davis Allen, I tied in that I talked about last week for the Rams. He could be involved, but Tutu could come out there and take some end rounds, take some tip pass, just be that third receiver while all the attention's going to Adams and Puka Nacua and get 5-6 catches and maybe bust a long one on an end around or something. So just something to think about. Next game, Jets versus the Bucks. 0-2 versus 2-0. Bucks being 2-0. Bucks have played 2 really tough games. Won some games the hard way, and give them credit for that. The Jets have lost a couple tough games. Well, they lost a tough game week 1. Week 2, they just got their ass kicked. Coming into this, my starts for this game, Breece Hall, running back for the Jets. He's the only one I'm willing to be confident in starting this week. For the Bucs side, Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, even though he's going to get Sauce Gardner, Ibuka is banged up right now. He's dealing with a hip injury, and I believe he missed practice and it was limited. But he's questionable coming in this game. It could be a true game-time decision. That's why I got him down there in the flex starts. And then Bucky Irving's my other confident start. I'm starting Bucky every week. That's all there is to it. If he's breathing, he's in my lineup. Flex starts Garrett Wilson just because of dealing with Tyrod Taylor with no Justin Fields this week. You got to knock him down a notch. I understand if you want to sit him. So any pass catches for the Jets, if you want to sit, that's fine. I still believe Tyrod Taylor is a solid backup. He's definitely has no problem targeting his number one receiver. We've seen that in past appearances from him. He will over target a guy. And Garrett Wilson's still a good enough receiver to get open against those Bucs DBs. So Nick Folk, Jets kicker, they could get into field goal range. I don't think a lot of touchdowns, but Folk's been doing good. Igbuka's in the flex start just because I don't know if you're going to be able to start him at all. If he's healthy and he's playing, great. But if he's banged up with a hip coming in, how much do you want to trust him? I know he's done great the first 2 weeks. That's what sucks about this. You have to be weary that he is banged up coming into the game. And then Tampa Bay's defense and Tampa Bay's kicker, Chase McLaughlin, you need to start. The Bucs against Tyrod Taylor and the Jets, I'm fine starting him. No problem. Sits for this game, Tyrod Taylor, I don't want to start him. I don't think you should either. Braylon Allen, as much as I'm hoping he gets involved, he's on my team in my big league, in the home league. He has not been very involved or very successful for that matter in the first 2 weeks. He did get a touchdown week 1, but inefficient as all hell first 2 weeks. So Mason Taylor, he got banged up. I'm not willing to start him. The Jets defense, not against that Bucs offense. Now, if Igbuka's out, maybe you throw him into a flex spot, but or you pick him up if Igbuka's definitely out or something, have a little more success. But the Bucs are still good without Igbuka and still going to be able to put up some points. The biggest thing about the Jets defense is if your lead gets kick return yards, and this goes for all the defenses, honestly, they're returning kicks like crazy right now. I almost want to do a special video just about this because this is what I expected to happen last year when they changed the kickoff rules to where everybody's lined up in a different spot. You can't move until the returner catches the ball. I expected a lot more kickoff returns last year. Now we've had a year for teams to adjust, see how they can attack, draw up game plans, and it is going wonderfully for kick return yards. Teams are having 200 kick return yards in a game. The Jets are one of those teams. They had 233 kick returns in a game and didn't score a kick return touchdown. Now, that also means they gave up some points, so that didn't help. But that is countering that points allowed right now. These defenses have been returning kicks like crazy. And if your league gets kick return yards for whether individual players or for team defenses, you should be much more confident starting some defenses that, all right, maybe they don't have the best matchup, but that just means they're going to get more kick return yards. So it's something to keep in mind going forward that I'm paying attention to. You probably should be too. That if a team is getting a lot of kick return yards, whether it's because they have good kick returner or because they're giving up points, those are points being scored for your defense. And so you don't have to just necessarily drop the defense when they're playing a really good team, but you also have to realize that, okay, if they give up a bunch of points, that's not going to be as good. So, but just something to keep in mind. But right now I got the Jets as a sit. And Rachaad White I got as a sit. He's a little banged up. And I don't think they're going to need him as much in this game as they did last week. He came in and ran the ball really well last week. Wasn't actually used as the pass catcher. I just think Irving will be able to do what he needs to do against this Jets defense. As much as I like the Jets defense, they have not played very good the first couple of weeks. So, sneaky start, Cade Otton. If Igbuka's out, anytime one of the receivers is out, Cade Otton has a great game. So, Cade Otton is a guy, if you need a tight end this week, Cade Otton's a sneaky start for you. Next game, Raiders versus Commanders. 1-1 versus 1-1. Jaden Daniels is out. Marcus Mariota is in for the Commanders. Raiders are trying to get this offense going, get it on track. Defense needs to do a little bit better in the pass defense situation. But my starts for this game, Brock Bowers, obviously, Jacoby Myers. I believe he could have a 9-10 catch game in this game. Daniel Carlson, the kicker for the Raiders. And then on Washington side, Zach Ertz and Deebo Samuel. These are my solid starts. I think you shouldn't have any concerns with these guys starting them. Deebo has been involved enough in this Cliff Kingsbury offense, and Zach Ertz has a touchdown the first 2 weeks. So not necessarily saying he gets a touchdown, but Mariota, even when Mariota started in the past, Zach Ertz has good games, so I'm not worried about him. Flex for this game, Geno Smith, the Las Vegas defense. I know Geno had a rough game last game. I also believe that was partially because the defense he was playing. Don't think Washington's as dominant. Don't think I like the Chargers are a special defense right now. They're along with the Packers. Those are two of the top defenses in the league right now, and they're doing things that other defenses are. Made it tough on Geno. He tried to fit a couple balls in the tight windows, but you're just trying to make a play when you're not having much success, and that happens. But the Las Vegas defense, I think, with Mariota starting, you might get a turnover. You might not get as many points on the Commander's side, and they're worthy of a start. Definitely a couple sacks coming, trust me. Marcus Mariota, honestly, guys, I think you could probably flex him in if you need him as a number 2 QB in those super flex leagues and be okay with between his ability to run for a little, he'll probably have 20, 30 yards rushing and be able to get the ball to some guys. Not saying he's coming out throwing for 303, but if he comes out and has 150 and 200 yards and 30 yards rushing, you're not going to be completely disappointed as your number 2 quarterback. So Terry McLaurin, he's moved into this flex spot. Can't recommend like a super start for him. Like I said, I think Debo's going to have more plays drawn up for him in a situation like this, especially with Mariota's skill set. Whereas McLaurin, trust me, I need him to do something. He's on my team in my home league. I got a lot of these guys that just like, oh my goodness, man, I'm through 2 weeks, I'm 1-1, and it has been rough with some of the players that I've drafted this year that I was big on that have not performed yet. But I do believe they're going to get back into form as the season progresses. Just right now, with Daniels out, you can't expect as much from us. The Commanders, with Eckler going down, Bill, a.k.a. Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, he's a flex start for this week. Same thing. You don't know what this offense, how successful the offense is going to be, but he's definitely going to be involved. I say definitely. I thought that last week, but I believe he's definitely going to be involved. They already said he's the number 1. Jeremy Nichols was the third back last week. He became in, kind of filled in the Eckler role as a receiving back. And Chris Rodriguez will be active this week, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But the other flex, Matt Gay, the kicker there for the Commanders, I think you're fine starting him if you need a kicker. Sits for this game, Michael Mayer. Not as impressed with him last week as I was after week 1. Now, he could get involved because the Geno needs him more than anything. Raiders need to score some points, and they have a little more success in the pass game. But I'm just not ready to just kick him out there as a flex starter or anything. Trey Tucker, it's him and Dante Thornton Jr., who you see as my sneaky start here. I think Thornton can take advantage of this defense, these defensive backs here with his speed. Tucker's got speed too. They're all on the field. Tucker's the number 2. I just think Thornton's the better player. And it's only a matter of time for that proves itself on the field and he becomes the number 2, at least in my mind. But Zamir White, he was involved last week, not willing to start him or anything. Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez. Like I said, these 2 guys, I'm not willing to start either in this game. I think you should be sitting in both, trying to figure out how does the running back, this backfield is going to play out. So, and then the sneaky start, like I said, Dante Thornton Jr. I think he's the better player over Tucker. And I think, oh, man, if Lattimore plays like he did this week and he gets on Thornton, Thornton's going to burn his ass down the field. That's all there is to it. Next game, Packers versus the Browns. Packers 2-0, Browns 0-2. 2 good defenses. Obviously, the Packers are playing on another level right now, but the Browns' offense is not. Whereas the Packers have still been good. Although Tucker Kraft got banged up in practice, has got a knee, all types of reports. Oh, he's going to be okay. Oh, he's not going on IR. Oh, thank goodness it's not season ending. There's a lot of comments coming out right now. I don't think Tucker Kraft's playing this week. If he does, it'd be a surprise to me. Or they're doing some sneaky, oh, he's not going to play, and then he comes out and has 10 catches. But I doubt that's the case. I think he did get injured in practice, and I think he's going to be out this week. But Jordan Love, start him. Josh Jacobs, start him. Green Bay defense, start him. Or start them. The way they're playing, Flacco might not make it through the game. We could see Dylan Gabriel come in, and he might not make it. We could see Shador. The way this Packers defensive line is playing, and more impressively is the DBs, how they've been playing because of the pressure being created by that front 4 has been really impressive. That's what's impressed me more. We know Michael Parsons is good. That I don't think anybody has a question about that. I think what's more impressive is the way the DBs have been playing because of the pressure being caused up front. So, flex in this game, I'm not willing to start any Browns wholeheartedly, like just full starts. There's a couple flex guys, but I'm not willing to start any Brown as a definite start. Flex guys, though, Brandon McManus, the kickers. I don't know how many field goals opportunities he's going to get. Like maybe the Browns slow down the Packers a couple times and they end up kicking field goals because Kraft isn't there. But the way Love's been playing, it really hasn't mattered who's been out there receiver. Yes, everybody's getting 2 to 3 catches other than one guy, but they're all getting catches and the offense is moving. And with Josh Jacobs, the way he runs, the Packers offense continues to move, which is impressive. But Brandon McMahon is for the Packers. Romeo Doubs, I'm willing to start him, being that he's the full-time starter. No Jaden Reed, possibly no Tucker Kraft. Throw Romeo Doubs in a flex spot and be happy when he gets a touchdown. Quinshot Judkins, Dylan Sampson. Both of the Browns running backs, I think, will be involved. Sampson, pass catcher, Judkins, the runner. And while I don't think they're going to be some dominant performance, I do think they're going to be involved enough that you could put them in a flex spot and be okay with either of them. And then Harold Fannin Jr., the other rookie there in Cleveland, he's been involved the first 2 weeks. If there's a game that he's going to need to be involved a lot, it's going to be this game because Njoku will probably be kept in the block more often, and Fannin will be that big slot that Flacco's getting rid of the ball quickly too. Sits for this game. If Tucker Kraft is not playing, obviously, or if he's playing, he'd be a flex guy just because you're dealing with an injury. But we know how talented he is. I don't think he's playing. That's why I'm saying sit him. Matthew Golden, sit him, hasn't been involved. Dontavian Wicks. If Kraft is out, he might be a little more involved. I just don't know how much they're going to need him. Joe Flacco sitting, David Njoku sitting, Jerry Jeudy sitting, Jerome Ford sitting, Cedric Tillman sitting. I don't know if any of these guys are going to have very good games this week. I don't have faith in any of them. I'm looking elsewhere than the Browns offense other than the 2 running backs and the rookie tight end. And those are all flex guys where if I have a better option, I'm definitely taking it. Sneaky start for this game, Luke Musgrave. Musgrave, if Kraft is out, Musgrave had 2 or 3 catches, I think, last week for 32 yards. Looked good. He was actually the one drafted ahead of Kraft. They came in the same rookie draft, similar to the Mark Andrews and, what was dude's name? I forget who it was for the Ravens. He played all over. Went to the Falcons, went to the Titans, went to the Panthers, I think, at one time. But it's this situation where they drafted 2 tight ends, trying to make sure they got one. They ended up getting 1.5 right now because Musgrave got banged up his rookie season. Kraft came on, looks good, looked excellent week 2. Now, obviously, he gets banged up on the knee in practice. It's like, oh, man. Musgrave still got talent. I don't know if he's going 6 for 124 and a tutty, but he could go for 4 for 40 and a tutty, and he'd be real happy. So, on to our 4 p.m. games. Broncos versus the Chargers. Broncos are 1-1. Chargers are 2-0. Starts for this game, Bo Nix and Will Lutz are the only Broncos I'm confident in starting. I think Bo Nix is going to have to do something in this game, and with his running capability, he can still be fantasy viable. Will Lutz, I think he'll be the one getting a lot of points. They can get some field goals instead of touchdowns in this game. And Bo Nix's capability to move the ball around, but not necessarily get into the end zone, would put Lutz in position to kick some field goals. On the Charger side, obviously Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Cameron Dicker, the kicker, and the Chargers defense. Like I said, them and the Packers have been special defenses so far. Bo Nix, they're going to get a turnover off of Bo Nix. I just think Bo Nix, with his passing and rushing capabilities, like I said, he was a staple back last year. It's time for that staple back to show up and do something and put some fantasy points on the board. I think it could be one of those games, a division opponent. They know well. Khalil Mack's out this game with the elbow. He got a lot more time in that backfield, and you can see Bo Nix have some success. Flex guys, J.K. Dobbins, he dominated the touches mainly last week. Denver defense, I'm still willing to flex them. I think this could be a tough matchup for the Chargers with those corners. A lot of success for the Chargers have been coming through the air. And with Surtain, Moss, I always forget which one it is, and the rookie Jahdae Barron out there, they have the corners to actually match up against the Chargers receivers. That's why, other than Keenan Allen, I think he'll be the most prominent because one's going to be on McConkey, one's going to be on Quentin Johnston, and then Keenan Allen will be that guy running around out the slot and getting those open opportunities underneath and across the middle and stuff. So, but the flex, like I said, J.K. Dobbins, the Denver defense, R.J. Harvey, I'm still willing to flex him. I'm not giving up on R.J. Harvey because he had a bad game. He's a rookie. He's allowed to have a bad game. I think he will be necessary in this game as a pass catcher out of the backfield, and still is a good running back, guys. It's just going to take time. Nobody thought before they signed Dobbins, everybody was really excited about Harvey. Once they signed Dobbins, I think we all took a step back. And if you didn't, then you weren't paying attention. But Troy Franklin had an excellent game last week, could be called upon. Again this week, definitely, with the coverage that Cortland Sutton's going to get, Troy Franklin could definitely be needed. Lad McConkey, he's moved into a flex spot. 2 bad weeks. I wasn't huge on you as a number 1 as it was. You're playing at the number 4 level, number 3 level. And I'm willing to go, all right, maybe not flex him. Similar to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, man. If you're not getting the points, how can I recommend to continue to start you? This is fantasy football. I'm watching what my eyes are showing me. McConkey is not having as much success because of Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnson and the way they're moving the ball around. Now, McConkey's still worth the guy thrown out there, and you're going to start. You're still going to start him as the number 2 or number 3 receiver. I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying expect a little less this game with these DBs. Quentin Johnson, same thing. Expect a little less with these DBs. Maybe he doesn't get a touchdown this week. Still think he's going to be involved. Still think the ball's going to be going around to all 3 of those receivers. I just know Keenan Allen's the one that Herbert is. That's who his trust lies in. And I guarantee you he's happy as hell to have him back. And then Omarion Hampton. I know everybody's like, oh, Omarion Hampton was a bust now because he had a bad week. Again, rookies are allowed to have bad weeks, guys. That's all there is to it. Hampton's still going to be involved. Najee's not taking over the whole backfield, everything else. And I believe Hampton's still a better player of those 2. Sits for this game, Marvin Mims. Troy Franklin seems to be on the field a little bit more or less in the first couple of weeks. I'm sad about that because I like Marvin Mims. And I was right by saying he was getting a touchdown. I didn't realize how much Troy Franklin was going to be involved this year, though. So something to pay attention to. So can't start Mims. Evan Ingram, he has been ruled out, so you don't have to worry about him. Go ahead and sit him or cut him, whatever you want to do. Najee Harris, I'm not willing to start him against this Broncos defense, even though I'm willing to flex Omarion Hampton. If you want to flex Najee, that's fine. You think Najee's going to be the guy, that's fine. I just think Hampton's a more talented player. And then Tyler Conklin, and I should have put Will Dissly here. I'm not starting either of these tight ends this week. Sneaky start of this game, though, Adam Troutman. The tight end caught a touchdown last week, basically played the role for Evan Ingram because Ingram hardly played. And with Ingram out, Adam Troutman could definitely be in line for another touchdown. Next game, Saints versus the Seahawks. 0-2 Saints versus the Seahawks, who are 1-1. Starts for this game, Alvin Kamara, Juwan Johnson. That would be all for the Saints. For the Seahawks, Sam Darnold, JSN, Ken Walker, and Jason Myers, the kicker. Willing to start on those with full faith, especially with the fact that Charbonnet is banged up and is questionable for this game. Chris Olave for my flex spots. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Seattle defense. I think Seattle could get a turnover with these DBs in the back end. And Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp of coffee. We'll have enough opportunities similar to last week. We get 6 catches, 67 yards, possibly a touchdown this game because the Saints defense isn't great. Although they've been playing tough, they're not a great defense. So Kupp could definitely have some opportunities. Sits for this, Spencer Rattler, still with the Sun. I'm willing to trust him even as a number 2. Kendre Miller, not involved enough. The Saints defense, no thanks. Ben Grupe, hell no. Torrey Horton, I keep wanting to call him Troy. Torrey Horton, the rookie there in Seattle. He got a touchdown last week. I'm hoping he gets more involved, but I don't know if they'll even need him this game. Now, he could get loose on a deep ball with his speed. Definitely not a possibility. Just not willing to recommend it. And Zach Charbonnet, like I said, he's banged up. Went 10 for 15 last week. Not a guy I'm willing to put in there, and it sounds like more likely he's going to miss this game, which means Ken Walker to the moon. Sneaky start for this game, A.J. Barner. Caught a touchdown last week, and with no real definitive roles for Cooper Kupp or Horton yet, or Barner. The only one we know is JSN is the number 1. He's proven that in 2 weeks. A.J. Barner could be the guy that ends up being the trusty receiver for Sam Darnold and be able to continue to produce points. Cardinals versus the 49ers. Both teams 2-0. Surprisingly, the Cardinals are 2-0. 49ers, even without Brock Purdy, got the win last week because Mac Jones balled out. Starts for this game, Trey McBride, James Conner on the Arizona side, McCaffrey, Mac Jones, who it sounds like he's going to get another start. There was possibility Purdy was trying to get into practice, limited practices, but Mac Jones sounds like he's going to get another start. Definitely check before the game starts. Those will come out around 3 o'clock Eastern, or 2:30 to 3 Eastern, sometime in there for the inactive list. And you'll know if Purdy's starting or if Mac Jones is starting. Like I said, I believe Mac Jones is still going to start this week. And Ricky Pearsall, Eddie Pinheiro. The kicker there for the new kicker for the Niners, I think he'll have some opportunities. But I'm ready to start all the pass catchers for the 49ers simply for the fact that the Cardinals are going to be missing their top 3 and possibly top 4 defensive backs. If the rookie there, Will Johnson out of Michigan, he's questionable right now, and the other 3 are completely out. So the receivers for the Niners should have some success. Mac Jones should have some success. Brock Purdy, I'm starting to eat whoever starts. So if you have the opportunity to have both on your team, whoever starts for the Niners this week, I'm starting that quarterback. And with Pearsall and McCaffrey, obviously, no doubt, starting those guys. Flex guys, Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., they're still just blah. You know what I mean? Nothing exciting with these guys. They need to start having some better games if they want to move into the full-time start players. But if I have better options, I'm putting them out there. Juwan Jennings, he's banged up. So if he doesn't play, obviously you can't start him. But if he does play, he's definitely worthy of a flex, like I said, with those Arizona DBs being banged up. And then the San Francisco defense, I think you're good to start them against the Cardinals there. Sits for this game, Trey Benson, Arizona defense. Can't trust you with those DBs missing. Michael Wilson, never have trusted you. I know I think you got a touchdown last week, but still not one of the guy I'm willing to trust. And Brian Robinson, not worthy of a flex start yet. They're still giving McCaffrey the majority of touches. He's just coming in to spell them every now and again. Sneaky start, Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne signed with the Niners before last week's game, played. I think he had a catch or 2. And with Jennings banged up, he could be on the field more. So definitely a guy to catch a deep ball, maybe 2 against those Arizona against nobody because the DBs ain't out there. On to our next game, the Cowboys versus the Bears, the 1-1 Cowboys versus the 0-2 Bears. Wah, wah, wah. And Ben Johnson, I'm not sad at all because I don't like the Bears, but Ben Johnson, a little frustrated during this post game and weekly press conferences about how things have been going. He's looking for more out of his team. Can they show up against the Cowboys? That's the question. Jalen Johnson's on IR. Grady Jarrett, I believe he missed last week's and possibly missing this week. So they're hurting on defense. Offensive line playing decently, but DeAndre Swift's banged up. He's got a quad. He might not play. These are all things, like I said, inactive lists matter. They come out an hour and a half before the game time starts. So whatever time the game starts, subtract hour and a half, that's when the list comes out. Starts for this game, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, the kicker Aubrey. He's awesome. He's incredible. On the Bears side, Caleb Williams. I don't think Dallas' defense is good enough to worry about not starting Caleb Williams. And you could probably start him as like 12th, 14th best quarterback this week. Roma Dunze, Cairo Santos, the kicker there in Chicago. Flex players, Javonte Williams, although you might be able to move him right up into the starters category the way he's played the first 2 weeks. But Terrence Ferguson. Flex plays, Javonte Williams. The way he's played the first couple weeks, you might just put him right onto a lineup as a number 2. I'm still got him at that number 3 range, top high number 3 the way he's played, but he's a flex guy to me still, so that's where I got him here. Jake Ferguson, he's a guy that's going to be involved, but they just might not need him. Honestly, this might be a get CeeDee Lamb right game because although he's had some success with catches and stuff, he's not had a CeeDee Lamb game, and I think that game is coming. And I believe George Pickens will continue to be involved. Him and Ferguson are kind of stealing those secondary targets from each other. I think Pickens has a little more success against these DBs this week. The rest of the flex guys, DJ Moore, you can still flex him, although he's getting frustrating. You want to see him have some more success. Cole Kmet, I think you can flex this game. I think with the Dallas defense not being great and Cole Kmet being the more involved tight end right now, he could be an interesting flex play. DeAndre Swift, he's a flex guy if he plays. If he doesn't play, obviously you can't start. But this is going to be, I think, it's going to be a game time decision where they need him to play, and then it's possible he doesn't with the quad injury. And if that's the case, I can't remember. I think this game's in Chicago. If it's in Dallas, we'll know on Saturday afternoon when he doesn't board the plane. Now, maybe he flies with him and still tries to warm up and everything else, but just something like I said, check the inactives list. You'll know an hour and a half before the game. But if he plays, I'm flexing him into there because I'm not worried about the Dallas defense too much. Sits, Dallas defense, Chicago defense, Luther Burden, Kyle Monangai, Colston Loveland can go in this game, but I don't think I need to tell you that anymore after the first couple of games. He has not been involved even close to being enough to even be considered. And I've had him on the sit the first 2 weeks because I believe he's a big slot player right now to where Cole Kmet's still being on the field more. And that's what I told you guys coming into the season. It's something I wholeheartedly believe. They're going to have to draw up plays for Colston Loveland. Now, maybe he comes in, he gets a few catches this game. They got some plays dialed up for him because it's a lesser defense. And he gets open on a couple of catches. It's great. That's what they want to see. They drafted him number 10 overall. You think he could get on the field and get some catches, but he's not. And like I said, that comes down to a blocking situation and the fact that he's a big slot receiver. And if they have a big slot receiver and a little slot receiver, and the little slot receiver is doing his job right, he's going to be on the field more often. Sneaky start, Kevontae Turpin. If he plays this game, like I was talking about with his kick returns, and he gets to catch a deep ball in this game. I think he gets a touchdown in this game, whether it's a kick return or a deep ball. If he plays, I think he's a sneaky start for you. Sunday night football. The Chiefs versus the Giants. Starts for this game. Both of these teams are 0-2. I don't think the Chiefs are being 0-2 is surprising a little bit. And we know they had a couple tough games to start the season. The Giants being 0-2, not that surprising at all. Starting this game, Pat Mahomes. I'm starting Travis Kelce because those receivers are still banged up. And against this Giants team, they're going to need Kelce. And if Worthy's back, it's just going to draw some attention away to make it even more open for him. Harrison Butker, I got a feeling he'll be active. The Kansas City defense, definitely starting him. Malik Neighbors, he's the only guy I'm a confident start on the Giants side. Flex players, Worthy, if he plays, he's been practicing, but if he plays, he's out there on the flex, throw him in the flex. Hollywood Brown, if Worthy doesn't play, he's a solid flex player. Those guys are kind of together, so keep that in mind. Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, I think they're going to get a little more success in this game than they had the first two. They played two really tough defenses. And not to say that the Giants' defensive line isn't good, but besides Dexter Lawrence, they're more of a pass rushing crew. So if Kareem Hunt and Pacheco can get this run game going, it's only going to help the Chiefs' offense. I think you can still flex him as that third running back or flex guy and have some success against this Giants defense. Other flex players for the Giants, Wan'Dale Robinson had a huge game last week, could be called upon. I don't think he's going to have as big a game this week. He was my sneaky start last week because he's going to get some catches, but he's not always going to have a great game. He's going to have those 4 and 5 catches for 30 yards, and then he's going to have a 2 catches for 100 yards, and he's going to have an 8 for 142, and then he's going to have 2 for 20. Like, that's Wan'Dale Robinson's trajectory at all times. It's all over the place. It's a roller coaster ride. But he's a flex guy because he's involved. And then Grant Gano, kicker for the Giants, he can come out and get a couple catches, a couple field goals just because they get in range. And he's always been a solid kicker for that man. Sits for this game, Juju Smith-Schuster, not interested. Tyquan Thornton, not interested. Russell Wilson, not interested. I know he had a huge 450-yard game last week and 3 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to have the same success. This ain't the Dallas defense. This is the Kansas City Chiefs defense. And don't fool yourself that those defenses are not even close when it comes to comparison. Tyrone Tracy, Cam Scatterboo, they're all over the place with these carries and touches. I can't recommend starting any of them against this defense. New York Giants defense, no thanks. Theo Johnson, no thanks. Sneaky start, Jalen Royals. He's been practicing this week. It sounds like he could possibly play. This is a kid that was a sleeper in the NFL draft. Great route runner, great hands. He just got to get healthy and get on the field, and I think he's going to end up being involved until at least Rashee Rice comes back. But he's a guy to pay attention to. He's a guy that, like, hey, man, you want to roll the dice or you got one of the best ball leagues, you're going to be loving this guy once he gets healthy and gets involved. That's all there is to it. And maybe it's not till next year. We'll find out. But with the injuries they're having and the success they're not having, the Chiefs could definitely use a little spark from a talented kid. Monday Night Football, our last game of the week 3 schedule. This is my Lions versus the Ravens. Both of these teams are 1-1. This is a scary game. I have this as a loss for the Lions against the Ravens just because the Ravens are so damn good. And the Lions are a damn good team. They showed that last week, putting up 52. I think this should be a competitive game. I don't think it's going to be an ass whooping like it was 2 years ago when the Ravens beat them 45-9 or whatever it was. But it's definitely a game that I think the Ravens are a little bit more talented. Now, they're missing 2 defensive players, I believe. Definitely one coming into the game. Lions, obviously, Davenport's going to be out. He's got his arm in a sling, so they're missing a little bit of that pass rush. But we'll see if they can get some. It's more about containing Lamar. It's not about getting Lamar. It's about not letting him. It's about pressuring him, but not letting him get outside that pocket. That's how you stop the Ravens, and you got to stop Derrick Henry. So you got to stop the run no matter what. Problem is, Ravens got talent, man. The Ravens are a stacked team, and when you try to overdo one thing, you end up having holes on the back end. Now, Lions got good DBs. They got Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Terry and Arnold, DJ Reed. They got those guys to play man. The question is, are they going to do that? Are they going to try to match up with Zay Flowers and DeAndre Hopkins and Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews and whoever else they throw out there, which is possible they could do, and the Lions pull out a win here. Listening to those names, you think that those safeties and DBs could possibly slow down that offense. Now it comes to that front seven stopping Derrick Henry and Lamar. You got to put a spy on Lamar, in my mind, if you're the Lions. Please put a spy on Lamar. That's fine. I don't care if it's Brian Branch. I don't care who it is. Put somebody on Lamar to watch it, because he's going to take off running if nobody's getting open against the DBs. So, but starts for this game: Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. I'm starting all of those. Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, and Tyler Loop on the Ravens side. Flex, Jared Goff. I know I almost wanted to put him in the start, just coming off a 5-touchdown game. But I do think the Baltimore defense is a tough. He might only throw for 202 touchdowns. You know what I mean? It might not be a huge yardage game. It might be a little more success with the run game. Maybe it's not success at all. So I got him as a flex. Jameson Williams, same thing. He can catch the deep ball at any moment, but I can't recommend throwing him out there as a full-time starter against his defense. And as much as I believe that he's a talented player and definitely is going to be needed, it could go to Laporta. It could go to the rookie, Isaac Tesla. It could go to St. Brown, who had 9 catches for 115 and 3 touchdowns last week. It could go to Gibbs. Like, they got so many options that I can't say, oh, you definitely have to start J-Mo in this game. And then the Baltimore defense, I think they're a decent flex. They're a good team. Probably get a sack or two. And with the return game, if there's points scored, you could even throw Detroit's defense in a flex. If there's points scored, they're going to get enough kickoff opportunities to score points with the kick return game. Rashad Bateman, he's a flex guy, but he was banged up last week. We'll find out if he's going to make it this week. Jake Bates, kicker for the Lions. Mark Andrews. Last week for you too, Mark Andrews. You're one of those guys. You and Hockenson, you're on the – if you don't do something this week, you're out. Because Isaiah Likely's coming back. He could be back this week. Like I said, I didn't put him up here. He's a sit still because I don't know. I don't think he's going to be back. I think they give him another week. For to be in a Monday night game, maybe they feel comfortable getting him out there. So, but it'll be in a limited role, I'm sure, if he is out there. Which means Mark Andrews is still a full-time guy and likely will be coming in the spell. And then sits, I think you got to sit Montgomery this game. It's tough. I love Dave Montgomery. I think you can still flex him as a third running back. I understand all that. But I just think it's going to be tough going for the run game. I think it'll be more of a receiving running back game. And Montgomery's got catches over last year and then the beginning of this year. He's got a handful of catches. But just a guy that I think could have a tough going. Now, if they get close, Monty, they always want to get Monty a touchdown. But he had a good game last week against the Bears. This is more about trying to win the game. And that means Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be on the field a lot more than Monty probably is this week. And then DeAndre Hopkins, I have him as a sit here. Now, Bateman was the miss. You could consider putting him in there. The offensive coordinator came out and said we're going to get him more opportunities as the season goes on. But he was a sneaky start last week because he came off a game where he had a touchdown, got another touchdown, and almost had 2. So he's definitely a guy you consider throwing in flex. I just don't know how much I can trust him yet. And then the sneaky start for this game, Justice Hill. Because if the Lions get up, they're going to turn into a passing offense, which means just like last week, Derrick Henry's not going to get as many opportunities. Justice Hill will get some more. And as a receiving back, Justice Hill is a nice little player and could be a danger to the Lions if they're focused so much on stopping Lamar that he sneaks out the backfield and gets 4, 5, 6 catches, has 40 yards, and hurts the Lions in football and helps your fantasy team. So just a guy that, oh, man, I got running back injuries all over the place. Oh, Justice Hill's out there. Hey, if he gets 5 for 40, you're happy. Other than that, guys, that'll be our last game of the night. We're going to get out of here. Good luck this weekend in fantasy. Pay attention to those inactive lists. Hour and a half before your game time starts. Whatever the game time is, they come out an hour and a half before that. Mike McDaniels, get your shit together. That's all there is to it. And Lions, let's go. Come on, baby, let's get a win. We need to beat the Ravens. We got to keep breaking these curses of teams we can't beat. Finally did it with Seattle. Now we got to get down to Baltimore. We got to take Baltimore down. So, other than that, like I said, everyone, good luck. Hope you're having a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time you're watching. Till next time, I'm out. First down, Punts.